First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while lunch is truth, and also to those elect that scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type D lesson is it's all about total control. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope to sweep you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, have a quick Google search on about digital ID and also real ID. So we slowly seeing that we constantly coming into a new system, a new digital infrastructure, a digital society, a cashless society. Because we constantly, they constantly rolling it out right before our eyes. And also we knowing now that everything is coming down to what ID or what identification, tracking and tagging, surveillance. These things are coming upon us at a fast pace. So that's what we're constantly seeing. Also, we're seeing that they get ready to roll out a digital social security card. So everything that we know and see is getting ready to change. All your personal information, all your driver license, everything is going digital. We seeing it right before our eyes. So we know if once things go digital, we know that is total control. They will be in control of your money, your pretty much your entire life. So we already knowing what this is leading to that grain of rice. That's what we're constantly going over each and every day. That MOTB, the mark of the beast, it shall go into your right hand or your forehead. So now let's get a little bit of this. It's a quick Google search or just overview about digital IDs and real ID. What is the difference? It says here a digital ID is an electronic representation of your identity, often stored on a phone or other device. Say a real ID is a specific type of driver license or identification card that meets federal standards and is accepted for official purpose, including boarding domestic flights and accessing certain federal facilities. So while digital IDs can be used as real ID compliant forms of identification, not all digital IDs are real ID compliant. So right here, they constantly telling you that you got to get this real ID. And also it said it's similar to a digital ID. And also we know that this is going to be universal. It's going to be globally, so one thing about it, so they're constantly putting these things into place. So they keep telling people left and right about get your real ID. You have to bring, I think it's two forms of identification. And also it was rumors that they're going to keep your social security card and your birth certificate for some period of time. I think they might even keep it. But one thing about it is that we know that this is all leading to this NWO, the New World Order. We know we're very close. So right here, everything is boiling down to identification. They already telling you about we having a border crisis, telling you about migrants, immigrants, that's coming in and out of America. Coming into America, Salaki. You know what I'm saying? That we got to identify everyone to make sure everyone is saying that they are this person. This don't make we already know that this don't make no damn sense. And I did about it. They already talking about deportation and already talking about they can deport American citizens. So we are, these things right here coming upon us at a fast pace, man. Let's get a little more. It says here, digital ID said there are electronic versions of your physical ID, such as a driver license or state issued stored on your phone. They can include your name, address, and other identifying information. said Real ID said this is a Pacific standard for identification document that meets certain federal security requirements. It said it ensures that the ID it not easily falsified or forged. So we already know what this is going to lead to, device under your skin. So they already now trying to do away with just physical coins and physical money, cash, like fiat currency, or the petrodollar, so they want to eliminate all of that. They cannot, you can't hardly track fiat currency, or the so-called petrodollar, this worthless paper money. So they getting ready to try to do away with it. So we already knowing that these digital IDs gonna work hand in hand with this digital currency. That they get ready to put in play. Also, it's going to work hand in hand with your biometrics. So we see where this is going. So it says here, exception, it's talking about the date. So that was May the 7th. It was just about a couple of weeks ago that, you got to come in compliance. You know what I'm saying? So this a lot of these things right here. And all this is going to work hand in hand with this new money that they're getting ready to put into play. That's pretty much what I want to get out of this. But we seeing right now that thing is constantly going digital, programmable, also implantable, and also trackable and under surveillance. So we seeing that these things are right before our eyes. See, here's another one right here. Digital Social Security code. This is another one I got off a news break called Money Talk News. It says here, it's a digital Social Security card is coming. So what to expect? So right now, they trying to everything. They're getting rid of everything. So we already knowing that a lot of people, they're going to line up. They're going to trust in the strength of each. They're going to trust in this new system that they're putting into play. What I'm going to do, how I'm going to eat, my wife, my children, and etc. So one thing about it, what you need to be saying, I'm going to trust and believe in Yahweh Ba'ashim Al-Shad, no matter what type of what's called digitalization. That's what they're coming up with, changing everything over. We know that this AI is taking over. This robotics. A lot of jobs are going out of business because it's getting ready to be animated. Also there's rumors of Walmart shutting down a lot of stores because they already putting this system into place right before your eyes. And a lot of our people right now still are unaware, still are not considering, still are going on with their daily lives. And these things are happening right before our eyes. So let's get a little bit of this here. It said Money Talk News. It said digital Social Security cards is coming. So what to expect? It says the Social Security Administration is introducing digital access to Social Security numbers. Said this summer, said offering a convenient alternative to paper cards. See that right there, paper cards, while raising important security and accessibility considerations. So that's all we're gonna get out of this. So they're constantly doing away with the way this old system. So they bringing in a new system. So they get ready to shut this old system down. Even though just like I said, we're coming upon a great economic collapse. We knowing about these banks are going to shut down. Everything is going to be digital. They won't need a bank anymore. You're going to be the bank. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to put it in under your skin. We'll put it like that. So we don't want to get too deep into it, but it's only for for edification or purpose. But one thing about fair use. But one thing about it is that we know that we are very close. That these things are coming upon us. And also, we know that Bible prophecies are speaking loud and clear. We're seeing right now that Revelation chapter 13, 15 through 18, that system, this charagma, these things they're putting into place, these lying wonders are right before our eyes. So now, let's go here and get a quick precept. Let's go here to, before we start today's video, let's go here first to Psalm chapter 10 and verse 2. It said, the wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. To let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. So exactly, we want the Lord to take care of them. Who is the poor? Who is the needy? Talking about what the Negroes, Latinos, the native Israel. You know what I'm saying? One thing about the people of color, and everybody, we want them to be taken into devices that they have imagined, what their evil scheme, their evil plan. You know what I'm saying? Their agenda, what they're trying to roll out left and right, because that's what we're seeing. You know, they get ready to roll these things out. You know, so left and right every day is something about ID or identification, trying to say if you are this person, you know, we need to have something into play where it won't be easily falsified. See how they easily, constantly, gradually easing it on you. You know what I'm saying? Also, one thing about it, you know, you're going to be a walking device. Also, this is going to work hand in hand with this digital ID, this digital currency, and also it's going to work hand in hand with your biometric, and along with that RFD microchip, Salaki. You know, so we're seeing that we're very close. Let's read a little bit more of this. It says here, it says, and also we know who the wicked is. You know what I'm saying? The so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks. So let's read this once again. It said the wicked in his pride, the so-called white man, persecute the poor. It said, let them be taken in devices that they have imagined. So that's what the Lord is getting ready to do, is disappoint them. You know, their hands will not be able to perform their enterprise. So let's read in NLT. It said, the wicked arrogantly hunt down the poor. Let them be caught in the evil they plan for others. So exactly what's getting ready to happen. You know, they're playing, you know. And one thing about it that we seeing that we're very close. Let's read a little bit more. Verse 3 said, for the wicked boasteth in his heart desire and blesses the covetous, whom the Lord abhors. Verse 4 said, the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after God. Said God is not in all his thoughts. So we already know that this man is very proud. And one thing about it, that, you know, he's not even, he's his the Almighty Yahweh Shem Yahushua is not in his thought, because what he is the wicked. One thing about it, you know, he will not, you know, he's not going to do what is right, because what? He's crooked. You know what I'm saying? He's not, you know, the Lord made him that way. So we already knowing that this man is getting ready to lose his damn mind. Also, he's the most proud. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. Verse 5 says, his ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffers at them. So that's exactly what we're seeing right now. This man here is very grievous. You know, everything he do, you know, this man is bringing forth all sorts of wickedness. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, that the Lord is getting ready to put this nightmare to an end. Verse 6 says, he has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. So one thing about this man think that nothing will ever happen to him. He think, you know, it's inward part that he will rule forever, but he's in for a rule of wickedness. The Lord's getting ready to cut him off. The Lord is getting ready to destroy him. And once again, his hands would not be able to perform his enterprise. Who we seeing? Let's read this in the NLT, Psalm chapter 10 and verse 6 that they think nothing bad will happen to us. Said we will be free of trouble forever. So that's the way he's thinking, that his inward thought that he will rule forever. And you know, just like I say, they're not in trouble like other men, but only for a short season. We knowing that the devil is getting ready to come down with great wrath. We knowing that we're coming upon some perilous time. You know, the hour of temptation, Jacob trouble. We go over these things left and right, even though they will sound like a broken record. But hey, whether you will hear, whether you will forbear. So now, start today's quick videos. And after the video, we'll start the lesson. And I hope that you will get edified.
Check this out. So there are 110 million Americans who have not chosen to do the Real ID. And all 110 of them and everybody else should choose never to do the Real ID. If you already have one, if you've got a gold star on, go and get a standardized driver's license. If you're afraid of fine, go get your passport. But do not take the Real ID, because the whole idea here, the wants to create for the entire world. This is your opportunity to shut this down. What we're looking at is a coup d'etat. And the coup d'etat is changing control of fiscal policy and the legislative and executive branches from representing the people to being controllable by the bankers. What an all digital financial system allows the bankers to do is to run all of that fiscal policy and all of the legislative policies through the financial system. And so the question is, how can you sell this? Chairman Powell has said he needs new legislation and legislative authority to do that. And of course, you need a way of selling conservatives on, I hate to say this, giving up their First Amendment rights, giving up their Second Amendment rights, giving up their guns or having gun control radically increased. But most of all, they need to be sold on digital IDs and biometrics. And what Trump and that group is really good at doing is saying, we have to stop immigration on the border. So everybody needs an ID so we can send the immigrants home and stop immigration. That's number one, or we need more surveillance and more control. And that includes the digital IDs and election fraud. Your home loans are going digital. Let's talk about what this really means.
Stop changing, and banks, like other businesses, have had to keep adapting and fine-tuning in the digital age. The CBA has announced a series of new products aimed at preserving the loyalty of customers and their kids.
Banks like Commonwealth aren't just providing you a great rate, they're training you for compliance.
So, what's the bank serving up? First is a new digital-only mortgage called Unloan with a lower interest rate and loyalty program built in. Every year, an extra 0.01% discount is added. Second, Kit is a new money app for kids. It's a prepaid account with a card that allows for digital pocket money and controls from parents.
These deals come at a cost. Your privacy. Let me explain. They use open banking, digital ID, and real-time tracking to assess your worthiness. Click payment or purchase becomes part of your profile. They're baiting you to control you. They're offering lower interest rates to those people that are purchasing a new home and offering this to people that are already attached to home loans to refinance into a digital loan for lower interest rates. This is just yet another stepping stone into digital ID and CBDC, central banking digital currencies. Everything is going digital, guys. It is time to shift. It is time to move, because if you don't, everything that you do will be tracked, traced, and programmable, meaning that they can lock you out. Whether you like it or not, the world is shifting. We are going through a financial reset. Centralization means taking back your control. No banks, no middlemen, no government overreach. You need to come here with an open mind. You need to be open and willing to learn. And if that is you, comment decentralized and I'll send you all the information you need to know.
So we're seeing right now that we're slowly coming into this beast banking system, this blockchain technology that they're coming up with. It's going to be dealing with your biometrics, going to lead to, to those CBDCs, going to lead you straight to that grain of rice. And one thing about it, we're not ignorant of Satan's device. So now let's start here first in Isaiah. So, just give you a little brief that this is coming right before our eyes. So a lot of people right now still unbelieving, saying this is not going to happen, that is not going to happen. But they're rolling it out right before our eyes. So it's slowly, this reset, they're putting it into place, making everything digital, basically putting you into that even net. So where you will be able to either you comply, submit, if you don't consent or submit, then you will be go into these facilities, and even be put to death. A lot of us will be put to death because a lot of people is not going to comply, and those one that will not comply is the elect. We will not bend the fold. So now let's start here, and also we're gonna know that a lot of people are going to trust in this system, and they will be totally destroyed. Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 2 said, "That walk to go down into Egypt, and have not axe at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And out about, a lot of people right now, they're going to trust in this new system. They're going to trust in this new technology. They're going to trust in the convenience, you know what I'm saying? And, it's very convenient. It's very safe. It's very harmless. But one thing about it, they're setting you up for that RFD microchip. And one thing about it, we knowing that Egypt worked hand in hand with the house of bondage. And out about we are in the house of bondage now, which in fact is Babylon the Great, second Egypt. Man, one thing about it, we waiting for the Lord to come to deliver us out of this place, the revised Roman Empire. And one thing about it, has not asked at my mouth, talking about the prophets to strengthen themselves. And out about it, and also it said, and to trust in the strength of Pharaoh. You know what I'm saying? Pharaoh, the modern day Pharaoh is the so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? The devil that the Bible speaks of. You know what I'm saying? This shall be your confusion. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, a lot of people going to be very disappointed. You know what I'm saying? And we're very close to these times. A lot of people gonna get enticed by this universal basic income. I have to eat. I need my medication. You know what I'm saying? This is not that. That ain't that. But one thing about, we're leading straight to Revelation chapter 13, 16 through 18. You know what I'm saying? You will not be able to buy or sell. We coming upon this time. Also, these constantly, everything that we look at is going digital. They doing away with the job. AI, robotics, biometrics, surveillance, you know what I'm saying? Face recognition. These things are right before our eyes. That's why we're constantly doing it each and every day, because we're very close to the MOTB, the sea here. Let's read this once again. It said, that walk to go down into Egypt and has not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. So a lot of people are going to trust in this new way of doing things. We constantly seeing it left and right before our eyes, man. A lot of things is constantly happening, man. We seeing it left and right. But let's go here to verse 3. It says, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So a lot of people are going to be, going to F around and find out. And one thing about the Lord said, do not take it, do not accept it. Don't be partakers. That's why the Lord said, come out of her, my people. This is not your rest. And how do we do that? Spiritually, with this gospel, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the time. Stability goes into your faith. Your faith is getting ready to be tried. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, we will not bend a foe, no matter what this man brings. So he constantly enticing people left and right. Is gradually bringing it in, just like that serpent in the garden. He's very cunning, very clever. He's bringing these things in. So let's go here. 2 chapter 15 and verse 15 said, for the sword in their destruction draws nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. So when all this hell break loose, and they trying to lock everything down and to make you comply, a lot of people are going to be standing up fighting against another. Egyptian against Egyptian, city against city. A lot of things are getting ready to happen, you know what I'm saying? And the modern day sword is the gun, all sorts of weaponry. We're going to be seeing military vehicles, military soldiers everywhere. All these things are getting ready to happen, man. Destruction is coming, man. That invasion of Babylon the Great, America, they already have a lot of things in place. The UN, also that, they say the digital ID, and also they're going to have that universal digital ID, which in fact is going to be backed by the UN. So a lot of these things are coming into play. Verse 16 said, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a lot of seditioning, rioting, protesting. When these things come up, a lot of people are going to be against, this form of control, this great draconian, laws, these Tartarian laws that they're constantly putting into place. The unrighteous decree, a lot of people going to buck up against, draconian laws, Salakia. And these things are coming right upon us at a fast pace, so they're not going to regard the government. They're not going to regard their law enforcement. They're not going to regard anyone. It's going to be a lawless time. And, their actions shall stand in their power. So that's where we at now. We're coming upon a very dark a perilous time, a dangerous time, a evil time, a time of trouble that we've never seen before. Jacob's trouble. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able because of what? If you don't have the right identification, if you don't comply, or if you don't consent, they're gonna lock everything down. They're gonna set up checkpoints. That's what we're constantly warning you about, left and right. Coming and compliant. You have to have this real ID. You have to have this. You have to have that. You don't have this, we're going to place you in this facility. We're going to place you here, and we're going to give you this and give you that. You understand what I'm saying? So it's coming down to the why, that total control. So a lot of people, when this happens, you're going to have to pretty much, you're not going to participate in the system. You're going to have to be off grid. We, in the elect, we are going to be, in the secret place of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. The Lord is going to provide for us. The Lord is going to sustain us in times of trouble, because what? We trust and believe in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. Verse 17 again, 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 17 says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. And one thing about it, so a lot of people is not going to be able to pretty much do anything, to go into another city or try to to go to another state if you don't have the right digital programmable, also trackable surveillance device. We'll put it like that. So we coming upon these times. He already saying that about the military. They want to federalize the local police, make this place out of police state. That's where we're heading to. Let's go here. It said, verse 18 said, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So when we're right upon that time, there's going to be a lot of this is going on. A lot of people houses shall be troubled, and be destroyed, and a whole bunch of people will be afraid. They're going to be bugged out of their mind when this time of trouble comes. A lot of people are not going to have faith. They ain't going to know what to do. They're just going to line up, and you will be totally destroyed. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because the lack of bread and great tribulation. So we coming upon that time. They're already telling you about those poor, and they saying that, they come to some type of negotiation, but we're not ignorant of Satan's advice. One thing about it is that, when they say peace and safety, then total destruction will come upon you. We already tell you about food shortage, rolling black, a cyber attack. We're telling you about this digital society. We're telling you about you to seek the Lord while he may be found. Famine of the word is coming. These things are coming upon us. Great death, great mourning, the beginning of sorrow, wars are brewing left and right. And also we already know that China said they were going to give aid to the Gaza Strip. And they said if Israel tried to get involved, they was going to erase them. So, a lot of things are happening right before our eyes. So any given day, these things will come upon us, even though we sound like a broken record. But these are the times that we're living in. Let's go here to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24, and I think it's around verse 20. Let's start up at verse 21. And it reads, said, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. Verse 22 said, and except those days should be short, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So that's what the Lord is getting ready to shorten the time, because we already know that it will not be in the flesh saved, because we know that this man will destroy everything, including himself. But the Lord said he is getting ready to come back and cut him off. So that's where we at right now. So we're coming upon that hour of temptation. We're coming upon Jacob's trouble. And one thing about it, your faith is getting ready to be tried. We're coming upon a lawless time. And one thing about it, we knowing that the devil is getting ready to come down with great wrath. We're seeing that he's constantly putting this infrastructure in place right before your eyes. And a lot of people been saying, this is not that. This is not going to happen. But one thing about it, we're not even worried about some don't believe. It's happening right before our eyes. And a lot of people are getting ready to have a wake-up call very soon. So now let's go to our last and final script. Let's go here to 2 Corinthians. I've been quoting. I might as well get it. And one thing about it is that, it's time to be prayed up, watching, what I'm saying, knowing your surrounding, redeeming the time wisely, because we are here, man. Let's go here, 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, we close out here and say, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, and not about who is the physical counterpart of Satan, which in fact is the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, should get that advantage. So that's what he's trying to do right now, get that advantage. But said, we are not ignorant of his device. Who is not ignorant of his device? He's talking about what the elect, starting with the prophets, the 144, and also the true believers, that great multitude of Yahweh, we're not ignorant of his devices. So when you go into that word devices, goes into what his mindset, his purpose, what he's trying to bring forth, his plan, his agenda, one thing about it, that's where yet the devil is getting ready to fill his belly, his devices, his agenda, his plan, this system, this beast banking system, using blockchain technology, also dealing with these biometrics, digital IDs. These things right here are right before our eyes. This is what we're constantly warning you about. Everything will be programmable. Things are going to be tracking and tagging and surveillance, dealing with your biometric face recognition. So one thing about it, we coming upon a time that we have never seen before. And one thing about it, the only way you will be prepared is through who? Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. He is the way and the only way. And one thing about it is that a lot of people are, getting ready to F around and find out. And a lot of this playing games about to be over. They are not just talking about the prophet scoffing and mocking. The Lord is getting ready to put an end to this nightmare. So the title of the daily lesson, once again, is It's All About Total Control. So I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, Kwam Yasha Allah, Shalom, Shalom.